Hi, so yeah, as Adam said, my name's Sam Machin. My role is I'm a developer advocate at Nexmo. That's my contact details there. I'm going to talk a little bit hacking for fun and profit. So this is possibly a bit broader than the bots thing. I probably didn't read the scope of what I was talking on. But what I really want to talk about is why you should build hacks. Quite relevant to bots. Bots are a great, early thing we want to play with. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the methodology and why we're building stuff. So can I get a quick show of hands? How many people here work for, I would say, a large enterprise, telco, carrier, big-ish companies? Okay, few. Cool. And how many people work for sort of smaller tech companies, individual? And how many are sort of small one-man band consultancy stuff? The rest of you. And how many people are just like too shy to put their hands up? Okay. Adam works for a large enterprise. No. Kind of, yeah. They're pretty big, Cisco. I think people have heard of them, yeah? They do something with the internet.
In the US, everyone thinks they deliver food. Because there's another company spelled differently.
Oh, okay. That's what your mum thinks you do now, yeah. Exactly. I drive a food truck. Okay, great. So a bit of background about me. I served 10, 11 years in big telco. I worked for Orange, France Telecom, designing core network stuff, spent a lot of time in meetings, doing really boring stuff. Spent a couple of years working for a big telco doing interesting stuff. I worked for O2 in the UK. We set up like a labs innovation team trying to build new products in a different way. So a lot of the stuff that I kind of learned from that I'm going to talk in this presentation came out of that. And then for the last few years, I've been working for kind of platform companies, so APIs and platforms and all that kind of stuff. I worked with Adam for a while at Tropo. Did a couple of years consulting, and now I'm working at Nexmo. And that's what I really like, is platforms, APIs, building stuff quickly. Okay, so first one, to kind of worry the people in the room. We're talking about hacking. Hacking's, that's scary. Especially you go into a big company and you sit down with the marketing people and say, oh yeah, I think we should start doing some hacking. And then like, oh my God, security, they're going to break into our email and leak everything and all this kind of stuff. And hackers are these scary people with hoodies that sit in the back of the room with masks on and leak people's documents and all that kind of stuff. So actually, the term hacker comes from, it's quite small, the text there, I'll put these slides online. There's a great website called, has anyone heard of a guy called Eric S. Raymond? Fairly famous in like the internet. He wrote some of the early thoughts on open source and all that kind of stuff. His website is catsb.org, the Cathedral and Bazaar. He maintains a thing on there called the jargon file. And this is the dictionary of internet speak. So if you want to understand what words are, this is probably the best source of these terms of what we mean by things. And so there's the definition of hacker from there. There's a whole load of things on there. And down the bottom here, there's got the depreciated term, a malicious meddler who tries to discover sensitive information, blah, 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 hence password hacker, network hacker. The correct term for this is actually cracker. So if you like, the internet community really refers to hacker, or to the malicious hackers as crackers, people who break into stuff. The news likes to talk about them being hackers, though, because it sounds good. The term that really I think I like out of this that comes out most relevant, the definition is a person who's good at programming quickly. So putting something together, a hacker is a developer, but it's a kind of developer. So if we then talk about what a hack is, a quick job that produces what is needed, but not well. I'm not sure about the not well bit. Some hacks can be good, but the idea of a hack in this sense is to produce something that gets the job done, that does what's needed, gets you to an end point, and it's quick and dirty, and it serves the purpose. Again, from the jargon file. So if we're looking at maybe in a more corporate sense, we could talk about a hack as a prototype. Yeah, when we build products, we maybe build a prototype. In technology, actually, we're quite bad at building prototypes, but quite a lot of other industries, the car industry, look at concept cars. When you see the things that they show off at like the Paris Motor Show and stuff, VW come out with some new concept car or a prototype car, it's because they're exploring, they're testing the market. Most industries build prototype products before they go full on and build the final production version. In technology and in telecoms and stuff, quite often we don't. We start off by sitting down and having lots of meetings and designs and flow charts, and we we discuss and figure out what we're going to build, and then we have one shot at building the product, the final product. And surprise, surprise, it doesn't actually work that well because we've never gone through a prototyping stage. So really, when we talk about hacking, I talk about hacking, and hacking is my hobby. But when I'm talking about it often in a more business professional way, I talk about prototyping. I got in, one of the things I tend to do for fun is hackathons, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But I got through to PayPal, Braintree ran a big hackathon competition. They ran it 14 cities around the world in heats, and then like a world finals in San Jose. And we got through to the world finals last year. So they flew us all out to San Jose. It was like big deal, $100,000 first prize, all kind of glitzy stuff. And one of the interesting things was I got to immigration at the US border, and they were kind of, oh yeah, what's the purpose of your trip? And I had it in my head, it's like, I am not going to say I'm here to hack. This is a bad word. This is a trigger word. So I had to like explain to him what I'm here for, and what is this thing? What is battle hack? In other words, I was like, oh, it's a computer prototyping competition. We build prototype products. And I'm like, don't say hack, don't say hack, don't say hack. And then he started asking me what the prize was, and he's like, oh, so you're here to win money? You're gambling? And I very nearly didn't get in, but anyway. So we can use the term prototype to refer to hacking in a more, should we say, business, corporate-friendly term. You don't upset the marketing and legal people if you don't have to say the H word. So a hack is a prototype. There's quite a famous quote in the internet, in technology, a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings. Quite often it's attributed to Facebook. Actually, it was sort of printed on posters around Facebook, and they have all these inspirational quotes. The best sources I can find of this is actually a guy called Mike Davidson, who until earlier this year was the VP of design at Twitter. So, big in tech. But this is a kind of Silicon Valley, San Francisco mantra of a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings. So you think how many meetings you have when designing a product and discussing things. Actually, build a prototype. The other place it's often quoted is IDEO. I think Mike may have had something to do with IDEO as a design studio, and it kind of came out of that space. But I really like that if you ever want the business justification of why should we just sit down and hack something, just quote that at them. And it's like, oh, but we were wasting time spending a whole week on a hack. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to have 1,000 meetings. I can save you, 8 people, 8,000 hours, whatever. Boom. So a little bit on the kind of why, when to hack. When should you build a hack? What's the purpose of it? If you want to understand a new product category, so you've come up with an idea. We need to do something with bots. This is the whatever marketing business departments have come to you and gone, hey, look, we need a bot product. We need to build a bot because everybody's got bots and bots are cool. And you're like, okay, I have no idea how we're going to build our first bot. We need a bot. So we need to explore this. We need to understand what a bot is. So start hacking. Take a week. Spend 5 days and build some bots. They might be silly bots. They might not do anything. You might be building a simple bot that tells you what's what's for lunch in the canteen. This isn't your final product, but you're going to explore bots and you're going to explore the interactions and you're going to understand it better from 5 days of tinkering with building bots for fun on something easy that you do understand. Like the cafeteria menu is probably a great example actually of a bot inside a company that people understand, they get the hang of, and it's not the core product, but you're understanding the user interactions. Again, it might be that you want to test with users. You want to explore, is this product what users want? So we're going to hack together some prototypes that we can then sit down with kind of user testing in a controlled group and say to them, try it. Is this solving your problem? We're building our bot and we've built a prototype bot. It's a bit rough around the edges. It does the job, but not particularly well. But you can get feedback from users early. That's really valuable. Rather than spending 12 months locked away developing this fantastic product that first time you show to users is when it's nearly finished. Answering a specific technical question. This is quite an important one. Sometimes you think, okay, well, we want to do, this is what our product looks like, and this is what all the things are going to do, but there's a couple of things I'm not sure about here. Can we do something with this? Does the iPhone work for this? Does this piece of technology work? Put together a quick hack just to test out that single one feature. Just build a little app that proves proves what the latency is over mobile networks when you're driving down the highway or something, and test it out with that. Build a hack. Just exploring the possibilities of a platform. Again, we did a lot of this in 02 when iOS the new iOS versions would come out, and it's like, oh, Apple have got all these new features in the iPhone Call Kit that just came out in iOS 10. There's some really interesting features in there for telephony. You know, what can we do with it? Before you start saying, right, what's the product, how are we going to implement it, just play around with it. Build little demo apps that will never go anywhere and never do anything, but it's getting you to understand what you can do in iOS 10. So when the actual product requirement comes along, you know what you're doing. And actually, you know, staff morale, hacking is fun. Hacking is a great way to actually feel like a sense of achievement. There's nothing worse than working on the same product for 12 months and never seeing it ship. And actually, taking 5 days and throwing something together as a hack and going, hey, look, we built this. That makes your engineers feel really good. People like a sense of achievement. And hacking is a great way to get that. So sometimes just hack for fun and personal development. It doesn't have to be for the product itself. Okay, so what to hack? What to build when you're hacking? We often talk about minimum viable product. Again, one of these startup terms. What's the minimum viable hack? What do we need to do? Go back to that first thing. Why are we building the hack? What are we trying to answer as a question? What do we need in this thing to get to that end point? Does it need to be fully featured? Almost certainly not. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that you know how to do, that you've done in every other one of your products. User sign up. This is the classic one. I've seen people build hacks and they spend ages building the whole user registration process and sign up forms. And it's like every user registration flow looks exactly the same as every other user registration flow. So don't bother building that. That's irrelevant to your hack. Just hard code 5 user accounts in there for testing or something. What is the purpose? Why are you building this hack? And that's something you need to answer fairly early on. Just sit down and go, okay, we're going to build a hack. This is what we want to achieve from it. And then when you're building it, think about that and just build to solve that problem. You're not building a product. That's the really important thing to remember. You're building a hack or a prototype. And then how to hack. So this is the little bit I'm going to shoehorn in the plug for Nexmo, just so I have to justify something. Platforms. Platforms are important to building a hack. Use stuff that's out there. Again, it's a prototype. You might be a carrier. You might be, running your own voice network. But if you want to just build a prototype, experience of some kind of voice flow, don't go and deploy whole new core network elements. Use someone like Nexmo. Build your prototype on top of a platform, because if that's to understand what the product looks like in the user flow, you might not use that technology in the final product, but it's a lot quicker and a lot cheaper than spinning up a whole core network instance. And this is really a cry for help to big companies. Let employees just put stuff like this on expenses. Don't say, oh, here's the requisition form if you need a server and it's going to be 4 weeks before you can have a new box. Yeah, just stick $5 of AWS on your expenses claim, because it's cheaper to expense $5 of AWS than the time filling in your forms to requisition an internal server. You'd be amazed at the companies that don't. And actually, most employees are probably just paying for this stuff out of their own pockets. If you want to employ like a hacking culture in your company, say to your employees, okay, you've all got $20 a month allowance for, services, platforms, APIs to spend on what you want, just to play with stuff. Reuse services to get the job done. Again, going back to the user sign up. Okay, you might want to use full user sign up in your product, but for this one, we're just going to let people sign in with GitHub or Twitter or one of the existing OAuth providers, because it's a library, we can drop it in, and there you go, you've got your user account management. And even do stuff manually. The whole, man behind the curtain thing. If you're trying to get over to a user, what does this look like? And they think they're talking to a bot and you're building a bot interface, does it really matter if actually your bot is an intern in the next room answering questions on the phone because you're going to figure out the AI technology piece later? Cheat. If it's not necessary for answering your question, then find an easy way around it. Do stuff manually. Sign up, registration, approval. That might be, it sends an email to your administrator for the system, who then just creates the user manually in the database. This is fine. And then the kind of stages of hack. This is when we get into a bit more of a formal kind of, when we have like the R&D, these labs teams, what we call them. We used to interpret what we're building here. So we had proof of concepts. Proof of concepts were we're trying to answer a specific technical question. Can we stream audio over, with the correct latency to sync up with live TV was one of the questions. So we built a proof of concept, which just was a little bit of code that did that to test out. Then we often talked about demos. To me, a demo was something I can show you. So a demo I have on my phone, I can walk up to you and go, hey, look, what do you think of this? And then we call them betas or trials, and that is something I can give you to play with. So a demo I won't let you loose on unsupervised because it's really rough around the edges. A beta is something that's at least answers the problem and I can give to you and you can play with. It might break, but you can use it yourself. And that's it. Any questions? Stunned silence.
Nothing.
Wow.
I heard a noise that sounded like somebody about to say something.
I have a question. Yeah. What do you think the ratio between hacks to products is?
How many of your hacks should see into a product?
Yeah.
Good question. It depends on, I guess it depends on your methodology of how you're doing. If you're in a kind of an R&D prototyping development team, then low, 10 to 1 maybe. Maybe for every 10 things you hack together as demos, 1 might ever see through to kind of a production, or even lower. I mean, it's like startups. You know, what they say is it 90% of startups fail. It's a similar thing. You're doing this stuff, this should be cheap and throwaway. It may be that even you might build several hacks as part of a product, because it might be that this is what the product is and we need to build a couple of hacks to answer these specific questions. So you might have 3 hacks all related to the same thing. It really depends on how you're doing it. And if you're saying we're going to build this product, but we need to build some hacks to figure out how we're going to build this product, you're already committed to the product. If you're saying, could we do something in this space, then yeah, it's orders of magnitude, probably 10 to 1 or higher. Depending on where you are. I mean, I've lost count of how many hacks of silly ideas, and sometimes for fun and things in my laptop, and I've probably got maybe 5 products out there I can say that are in the real world that have started out as hacks. So. Cool.
Did you just call startups cheap throwaway things?
Maybe. Well, they're not cheap as you got VC, but they have a very high probability of failure, don't they? That's the quoted failure. 90%.
90% of the others don't even know they failed yet. Any other questions?